Okay. So, there's something I've just been really thinking about, and I'll probably make a little podcast episode about this. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I'm gonna start a podcast very soon. I don't have all the details yet, but stay tuned, and I will have those to you as soon as possible. So anyway, so something I've been noticing, like, just being like a psychic reader myself for the last few years, and like, I am by no means, like, I don't have at the moment like a huge audience or anything on YouTube, and I'm grateful for everybody that supports me, big and small. But I've been noticing, like, even like readers, I'm sorry to say this, and I'm sure like these messages might just not resonate with me, but there are some readers, and this is no like hate per se, it's just like so much stuff, so much content these days is like clickbait, not just with readings either. Like, let me start by saying that first and foremost, it's not just with like tarot or oracle or like psychic readings. It's not just there, it's with everything. It's about like body positivity and fitness and like everything there, like any genre or niche or whatever, there's clickbait. But I've been noticing like some of these like psychic medium readers on the internet, like I'll watch their content because I was like either recommended it or like I don't know, like, you know, I was like, maybe I'll try something new today, or like one of the readers I follow makes a recommendation, and I'm like, some of them I feel like are just so generic. Like, it's so generic. It's like for clout. People use like manipulation and fear to like get views and likes and follows and subscriptions. And like also just like some of these people are just so toxic and just projecting their own realities onto the readings that they do. And I think it's so sad. Like, I think I do want to mention, as somebody that does spiritual work with other people, and myself, of course, like first and foremost myself, I think to an extent you have to go through certain experiences in order to be someone that helps someone else on their spiritual journey. Because I often find that people that mirror your experiences or have gone through similar things will flow into your existence when the time is right, so you can teach them or help them with healing, and vice versa. You might learn something from them that causes you to grow. I mean, that's what this is all about, you know? But like, I just notice like people are just always perpetuating like fear or pouring into people's shadows or their insecurities or like codependency, even like all these love readings I find, or like people are like, oh, someone's got sending you the evil eye, and I'm just like, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, this is the side of tarot and like spirituality where I can see why some people think that these practices are demonic, because they're seeing like the shadow side of it and the darker side and like the exploited side, if we're being honest, of these practices. And I also find like some of the readers I follow that have like no views are incredible, like seriously incredible. Like, they pick up on so much to the point where I'm like, yo, this is like wild. Like, energy itself, and like being able to read it, like, even though it's something I do, like, in my daily life to help people, like, it's still, like, it's mind-blowing to me still, you know, like, even to this day, like, I still constantly have, like, experiences and realizations that coincide with that, like, you know. So what was I gonna say? Like, you know, like I said, there'll be people that have, like, almost no subscriptions, or no followers, or no views, or, like, way less. And, like, this could just be because they haven't been doing it as long as other readers, you know, whatever. Or I don't know, I'm just putting this out there because they don't pay as much to their advertising. I'm just saying, could be. I don't know this for a fact, but could be. And some of these people are, like, so spot on. Like, so spot on. Like, they put all this time and energy into their readings. They really care about what they do. They're very thorough. They're very, like, specific, even, like, things about, like, childhood wounds, and, like, the explanation on, like, for just an example, something like emotional regulation or narcissistic abuse. There's just a whole range of topics, excuse me, but they get very specific into these phenomenons, and I am, like, 100% subscribe. Like, every video, like, there's some people I follow, I watch every single thing that they put out, like, and I like it, and I follow them, and even sometimes I'll even share it with people if I'm like, there's some really good messages in this one. So, you know, I'm like, because these people are not playing into, you know, essentially they're not telling people what they want to hear. They're, I think, encouraging people to go more deeply and look at their shadow aspects, or even look at, like, circumstantial things in a deeper level, like, just in a deeper way, and, like, in a more honest way, and in a way that really is conducive to growth. And though not everybody, like, there are some people that they're amazing readers, and they still have commanded or procured a great following, like, great, and as they should, because they deserve it, and their work is awesome. But there's also some people that, I guess, I almost want to say, like, maybe it's, like, charismatic, or it's like they're, like I said, like, mirroring the shadow aspects of people back at them, but in a way that's comfortable, and I feel like doesn't force people to grow. You know what I mean? So it was just something that I've just been noticing a lot on the internet. Like, I've been very intentional, very selective about the people that I go to for readings, because I've also been to, like, in real life, like, readers that people have recommended to me, and they've told them, like, crazy things. They've even, like, when I've had those experiences, they've told me, like, you know, certain things about my life that I'm like, oh wow, like, that's awesome, like, that's amazing that they picked up on that. Never gonna knock that. But at the end of the session, I spent whatever money, and I didn't feel like, not because they didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, but there were even times that I felt like they were telling me what I wanted to hear, and I was like, like, something just doesn't feel right about this. Like, I don't, or, like, they would tell me specific details about people that I was gonna meet, or connections, and then, like, something about how they read the energy and relate it to me was just off and wasn't accurate. Like, like, they picked up on something, but the specifics of it were not accurate. That's the best way to say it, if that makes sense. And you know, like I said, like, there are so many readers that get on there, and it's just, like, so, like, generic, and so, like, fear-based, and I don't know, I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I felt like we should be, what is that? Sorry, there's like, I don't know. I think it, as like people that are like psychics and healers, I don't know, people that help other people on their healing journeys, I think that's a more appropriate way to say it. Because, listen, like, we're not fucking magicians. I mean, like, yes, but that's, like, another story. Like, we're not gods. I think that's a better way to say it. We're not gods. Like, we're not, like, people that, like, are all-knowing and all-seeing and all-being. Like, there are those of us that have amazing gifts. And, like, I think, you know, I hope that everybody out there with these gifts, when they are sharing them with the public, they're doing so for the right reasons, to help people find closure, or to move, you know, like, help them find peace, like inner peace, help them to understand situations a little more clearly so they can move forward, help them understand themselves more clearly or more deeply, and encourage that, and encourage growth and healing, and just, you know, but also, like, being honest when necessary, but going about it in an appropriate way. And like I said, like, I understand why some people think that this is demonic, because I could see that. Like, I could definitely see that. I could see, like, also there's already such a stigma, I think, from Hollywood, also just from Western society, being portrayed, like, in the media or by, I don't want to, like, knock anybody, but, like, I think also certain, like, religious groups have painted these things in a bad light because there wasn't a point of better understanding, or, to be quite honest, and I'm gonna pop a few people's bubbles here, because certain religious groups wanted to maintain control. And what is the best way to do that? To perpetuate fear. And you can look it up. It's historical. It's not even, like, my opinion. It's just historical. A lot of the religious groups that are in power have done so by fear and conquering throughout history. So, and I guess have deemed certain other practices as demonic or frowned upon, or evil. I also think that certain spiritual practices were portrayed in a certain light throughout history, because when you want to control the masses, if you disconnect them from themselves, from their inner guidance, from their spiritual inner compass, and you make them fearful, that's how you control people. And yeah, so that's why witchcraft and listen, some people do black magic and dark magic, and that's why it's very important when you're starting on your spiritual journey to educate yourself, to learn how to put up proper spiritual boundaries and do protective rituals, and learn how to cleanse your space and balance your space, so you don't have to deal with certain things that are out there. Just like people that are living, you know, like a more enlightened version of themselves, there's people that are living a shadow version of themselves on that timeline, because that's what they're choosing. Same thing with spirituality. There is light and dark to everything. like what my mission is. Personally, I think that it's very important because we're more and more, as like the world's, like the earth and the world's frequency starts to raise, you know, we need people educating. That's why people have been like so drawn to these concepts more and more recently. We need people that have walked these paths, have really truly fully understand these concepts, so they can relay them and pass them down and teach them to people that are beginning to spiritually awaken further and might have questions, maybe need, like, you know, to hold someone's hand along the way. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. You know, when we're out here, we go to school. We go to school to learn. Do I think our school systems are the best? No, but that's another thing for another time. But the concept should be that these things are setting us up for success for, like, as we enter adulthoods, right? That's how it should be. That's not always how it is. But same thing. You know, I think it's never good to, and every time I like do readings and I hear other people say this, I'm like, yes, like 1,000,000 fucking %, yes, like I support you, like this is why I fuck with you. Like, you know, when people say and make it a point to mention that if you're going to become a medium, or if you have those abilities that you've noticed, or you want to hone in on your psychic abilities and eventually mediumship, and to hone in, like I said, hone in on them and cultivate them, that is a wonderful thing. However, like our world, as if you step out the front door, there can be dangers. And I think it's really important to educate yourself throughout every step of your journey. If you have questions, to seek people out that you feel at peace with, of like, I went to this person and I left with more knowledge, about myself. Not just like, oh, like, about my future, but about me, who I truly am, or spiritual questions that I have. And also, I love this, like, sometimes this gives me imposter syndrome when I have readings, though, that people ask me questions and I have to be like, honestly, I don't know, because it just brings that humility in there. And also, like, I always tell people too, I can't, because I haven't done like 1,000,000 readings in my life, but I've done a good amount. I've probably done, in my whole life, close to close to 40 readings, I would say, which I've only been really actively doing them for the last year. So I'd say that's a lot in a year, especially because my readings can get lengthy. But people will come to me, and I always tell people, like, listen, I can predict something sometimes. Like, sometimes I will genuinely get, like, important information that, like, someone's, like, guides or, like, spirit wants them to know, that's, like, important for their journey. I've even picked up on future events for people which at the time I didn't know that that's what this was about. Like for example, I did a reading for a friend of mine. I picked up on, I don't want to get specific, just in case our employer's watching this, but like just something, when I was on my way to give her the reading, this feeling washed over me of something I had experienced in a working environment myself, but it was something that I hadn't thought about for years. And so I wrote it down because I was like, this is important. So anyway, I did her reading. A few weeks after this, some stuff starts going on at work for her. And then I looked back and I realized, okay, wow, I was picking up on this. Sometimes, and it's still, I would say I'm like in the earlier stages of, developing my gifts. They are definitely developing. But also, I tell people this too, like, even if I give you a prediction, for me, it doesn't work like, oh, like, you can ask me something and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen, or that. I've had people ask me, like, all different types of things. Like, I can tap into where you are right now in this present moment. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, and I've told people too, like, because something like started coming to me about, where they were in their life. And then I would get a feeling kind of about how it would play out. And I told them, I always tell people, if I get a prediction about something, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt, because the future can always change. And also, like, I don't know everything. And I also don't want I don't want to sell people false hope, and I'm very transparent about that. And I also am just like, good for you, girl. You got integrity. I try. But yeah, so I just think it's like really important as a reader and on your spiritual journey to know where you're at. Whether it's convenient for other people or not, so that way you can move accordingly. Like recently I made the announcement, I'm not doing readings until June. That was a hard decision. It was a hard decision because I felt like financially it was a hard decision. But then also, like, it was a hard decision because I do actually enjoy doing it. But I don't know why this is, like, relevant and I'm mentioning this, but I just saw a school bus. And, like, I don't know why that really stood out to me. I'm gonna look that up in my dream thing. I don't know. So, fuck. Yes. So I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I was like, I feel like, am I giving up because I'm having like a bad day, or, but honestly, a lot, like on my path, like, I think everything is very cyclical in general. And I have reached the stage where, and it's the retrograde too, a lot of things have started to come up for me, like old things, but I have several projects I'm working on that this is actually a really good thing for. And that I kind of took that as a sign of like, you need to take this energy. This is why I'm big on astrology, because I'm like, and I've seen so many times, like when you understand the energy of where things are in the cosmos, and you, especially if it affects like your chart heavily and like your influences, especially if it's benevolent, take that energy and use it for your benefit, dude. Like, take that energy, work with that energy, harness it, make it your bitch, you know, like to get ahead on your journey and accomplish things. And sometimes that doesn't look like what we think it looks like. Sometimes it's as simple as like, okay, this is a retrograde period. I need to reflect and review and like move through some of these emotions and create whatever projects I'm creating out of it, if you're creating something. And there's some retrogrades where I've been fine. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten like psychic, like I do get a lot of psychic messages actually during like retrogrades. I've noticed I'm very in tune when, especially very in tune when I'm about to get my period. I think, is it the full moon? I think, or the new moon? I don't remember. One of those. I think it's about to be the full moon. I have to double check. I always forget. I'm just a lot more like, everything's more vivid. Everything is more like specific. I even tell women, like, always pay attention to your dreams. Anybody really, like men and women, always pay attention to your dreams. But I tell women specifically this: when you're about to menstruate, right before, during, and even right after, that energy is, like I said, very psychic. That's moon energy. Whatever you dream, whatever, like when you get like these intuitive like nudges, like whether they're good or bad, like always trust them. But especially during that time, I find like when you take the shadow work you're doing out of it, and you make sure you're not projecting. But if you just have like, you're feeling good, you're feeling calm or whatever, and then you just get this like random like feeling, like, and it doesn't make sense to you, like out of the blue, of like not to trust someone or to go this route or to, you know, like do this today, like trust it. Because it's always, in my experience, it's very beneficial and encourages learning more about ourselves. It helps with shadow work. It helps with the subconscious. It brings things to the surface. We're just, like I said, I just find the menstruation cycle to be a very psychic time of the month for women. So highly recommend, 10 out of 10. What else? Did I want to talk about anything else? Or did I feel like I should talk about anything else? I think oh yeah, I think it's really important to know the differences of like different readers. Like I said, like if you are a reader or if you're going to one, know what they specialize in or know what you specialize in. I specialize in, like I said, reading in, tapping into the energy of where people are, especially if they're feeling stuck, or like I'm really good at picking up signs in the coming hours before my readings for people. Sometimes these are signs that are sent to me. I don't know why this started to hurt. That are sent to me from a loved one that has passed over, that I've started noticing. Everybody gets them differently. Or if you want to go to a medium, like make sure that that person specializes in that. Because if you're going to a psychic, not everybody can pick up on that. Not everybody wants to pick up on that, you know? So it's really important, I think, throughout this whole experience. And I love this, my Reiki teacher, she says this too, and I'm like, I love her for that. She always says, you know, like when I became a teacher, I realized like that's a lifelong journey now for myself to also play the role of the student. And it's so true. Like at the end of the day, and this has been something that really has been coming in for me recently, at the end of the day, we're all just walking each other home. Nobody's better, nobody's worse, you know. We're all here in Earth School learning. Some of us are in kindergarten and some of us are about to graduate. That is what it is. And if you learn to detach and not take everything or anything really personally, within reason, I still think we need the ego. It's a tool that when used correctly can really help us in many different ways. But yeah, I don't know, I just felt like I've been wanting to talk about that for so long, but I don't know if this is like a blockage that I have, or if it's like when I'm creating things, I get almost this feeling of like everything's bubbling up to the surface before I can write about them, before I can talk about them, before I'm ready to like bring them into the physical. And that's how I know, like, okay, it's time. So I love you. Thanks for coming. I have a lot of amazing things coming up, so stay tuned. And I'm sorry if this was a little redundant. It's the retrograde, and honestly, like I was saying before, the reason that I put my readings on hold, if you didn't know already, is just because I'm like working through some things and I am finding it extremely hard, more than usual, to ground myself. So I'm really taking this time to like reconnect with the self and self-care and slow down so that I can, start maybe integrating my practices again. I think from this new level, I don't know, I feel like I just entered a new cycle where things are starting to shift, but I still need rest and recuperation are key parts of leveling up. I know that for a fact. So, like I said, I love you. I will see you in the next one. I hope you stay tuned to keep an eye out and join me and grow with me throughout my various projects that I will be producing over the next months / coming years. So, love you. Can't wait to grow with you. Bye.